Hey everyone, George here. So if you're a contractor operating a C-Corp, there's a tax strategy that a lot of contractors don't know about. I'm talking about leasing your personally owned assets to your corporation. That could be your work truck, your trailer, your skid steer, your excavator, your shop yard or space, or even space that you store your tools and materials on. When it's done correctly, it can reduce your taxes, protect your assets, keep your company financials cleaner, and make your overall setup more audit-proof. So today I'm breaking down what it is, the details, how to do it clean, and avoid all the red flags. So without further ado, let's get started. So here's the basic concept with this. Your corporation does not need to own everything that it uses. Instead, you could personally own the asset and your corporation pays you rent to use it. So for example, you own the truck, the company leases the truck from you. You own the trailer, the company leases the trailer, or you own the shop and the company pays you rent. And just to be clear, this strategy is very common and clean when you're dealing with a C-Corp. Because the corporation is its own separate taxpayer, and these are very common and accepted expenses when structured correctly. The rent is usually a deductible business expense for the corporation, and that's where the opportunity is. So contractors are different from most businesses because your business is very equipment heavy. A lot of businesses only own computers and office stuff, but contractors often have trucks, trailers, big tools, equipment, shop space, storage yards, material inventory, and you have job sites where things either break, get stolen, or get damaged all the time. So here's a question I like to ask. What does the company need to use and what does it actually need to own? Because sometimes the best thing is keeping stuff out of the corporation and having the corporation lease it instead of the corporation holding everything. And I'll say it straight, construction is a higher risk industry. All it takes is one job going sideways, one unhappy client, or one injury claim, and you're dealing with attorneys. So this is not just a tax reduction, it's also an asset protection strategy. So again, things like trucks, trailers, heavy equipment, shop yard and space, if you personally own any one of these assets, the company can pay you rent for its use. So let's say you have a trailer for $15,000 and skid steer for $60,000. Your corporation needs them for jobs. So your corporation pays $450 a month for the trailer and $1,500 a month for the skid steer. That'll be $1,950 a month or $23,400 per year that the corporation deducts as a lease expense. You report the lease income personally, and you may also deduct costs tied to ownership like insurance, repairs, maintenance, registration, property taxes, and possibly depreciation, all on your personal side. Now, this is all about having the right structure, logic, and paper trail. Because contractors already spend a ton on equipment. We're just organizing things so you get the maximum possible deduction. So here's the part you can't mess up. To pass IRS scrutiny, the lease needs to be arm's length and commercially reasonable, meaning if you rented this truck or trailer from someone else, would the price be similar? You can't lease your $20,000 trailer to the corporation for $4,000 a month and expect that to be reasonable. The IRS doesn't care about what you call it, they care about if it looks like a real business deal. Also, you need a written lease agreement, and the lease agreement should cover dates and terms, asset detail, VIN, serial number if possible, payment terms and due dates, who pays for the maintenance, who carries insurance, and what happens if it breaks or gets totaled. So that's number one, written lease agreement. Number two, you need real payments being made. So this is a big one. The corporation needs to pay you consistently, monthly, from its corporate bank account to your personal bank. You can't have any, we'll true it up later, we paid your personal credit card, we'll just journal it in December. You actually have to have real, actual payments being made. So what are the pros and cons for contractors of implementing this strategy? So the biggest pro is asset protection. If God forbid something were to happen, they can't go after your truck or your excavator or all those big assets. And you have to remember that construction is higher risk. Number two pro is cleaner financials and less asset clutter inside the entity. Number three is it creates a legitimate stream of owner income. And like if you have a situation of income splitting, there's definitely tax opportunities here to step down your tax rate from, say, the corporate rate to like a lower rate. Number four, it makes it easier to separate the operating side of the entity from the asset side of the entity. And number five, it could be easier to sell the company later on without having to have all these carve outs for the assets, or they might want to take your assets, that kind of thing. So what are the cons and risks associated with this tax strategy? So number one, it can get messy if it's not documented or structured correctly. Number two, insurance needs to be correct, and don't skip this. Number three, if you sell the assets later, there may be depreciation recapture on your personal side. Not to say that it wasn't going to happen in the corporate side, but that's something to note. And number 4, if the company has losses, you just need to be aware of that situation so it doesn't take it too much further into losses. None of that should scare you or hold you back from implementing the strategy. It's just things to be aware of so that you could structure this thing very clean. Now, what are the major red flags to avoid? The biggest red flags I typically see are no written agreement, or if there's a written agreement, the rent is unrealistic. It's not market term. No real payments being made consistently. Personal use vehicles being treated like work trucks. No separation between personal and corporate usage. Another big one, the corporation pays all the fuels, repairs, maintenance, insurance, and pays a very high rent. And finally, a lot of times when people DIY it, it becomes very kind of janky and not well done. So it could be very questionable in the event of an audit. So again, if it doesn't feel like a real arm's length transaction, the IRS would potentially question it and reverse it. So again, if you run a C-Corp, leasing personal assets can be a smart strategy when the lease is reasonable, the paperwork is clean, and the payments are real. And if you're thinking about doing it with the truck, trailer, skid steer, or your shop, it's worth doing it, setting it up properly from day one so you don't create problems later on down the line. So if you need help with any of this, if any of this applies to you, our calendar link is down in the show notes. I hope you found this helpful and see you in the next one.